So what I want to talk about tonight is a certain Chanukah message that I think is very important. As I said earlier, that normally I always focus on with Chanukah, I focus on the message of Lahashkicham Toratecha, that a lot of Yavan was all very much about trying to take all the Kodesh away, say it's all great, all the wisdom is all great, and that's why they don't destroy the Beit HaMikdash. We have a whole shiur about that. And specifically this year caught my eye a different angle. An angle, as I said, is specifically, except for Bar Ilan, where in yeshiva and the midrashah world, in all the yeshiva high schools that you came from, they cancel school during Chanukah, or many of them. And the question is why, if Lashkicham Toratecha isn't Yavan winning? And specifically, many of us go to Chanukah parties. And I think if it's really true, there's actually a deep message behind all these Chanukah parties, and that can actually be an avodah for us, actually for the message of Chanukah. And it's very much connected to the story behind Chanukah, which is what I brought from you, the historical piece from Josephus. And it's not only in Josephus, it's actually in rabbinical literature also, which we'll see in a second. The quick history, if you read it, that Yanai Melech dies, and the goes over to his wife Shlom Tzion, and then there is a civil war between the two sons, between Aristobulus and between Yochanan and Hyrcanus. And it wasn't enough that they become bitter rivals, but as it explains, Milchama Zo Lelu Safek totally ripped apart the whole Chashmoni Mamlacha. And what happens, if you see in the second paragraph, Hyrcanus, through some sort of heskem, some sort of Oslo peace process, he shekavash aviv mimelech hanevatim, from the local the melech there, matzliach der tomet melech hanevatim sheshmo chartat, to go with him to join forces against his brother Aristobulus, and they're able to push back Aristobulus until he fortifies himself within the Beit HaMikdash. Through that, it's all happening on Chag HaPesach, which is not by chance. And here Josephus says in the first source in front of you that what happens, they come, Aristobulus Nishar Levado, he runs to Yerushalayim, and Gam Ha'am Hitchaber El Hyrcanus V'Shteif Imo B'Matzor, and only the Kohanim are with Aristobulus in the Beit HaMikdash. And the Goyish king Chartat Takad Machane Arabim et Machane Yudim Zel Yadzev V'Shakal Al Matzor Ba'oz. This happened during Pesach. Fine. Now, if you keep going on, what's interesting is, which I didn't know until I heard this year, and it says, Josephus explains that this is interconnected to how Choni HaMe'agel dies. It says, Sadik Echad Chaviv Elohim Chonav Shmo Choni HaMe'agel Sheitpalel Pam Lelokim V'Shat Atzira Kishamim. I also wanted to say that this is very much connected to Nyani Dioma about the rain. Sheitpalel Pam Lelokim V'Shat Atzira Kishamim She'asir Tabetzoret. Choni HaMe'agel was known, the circle drawer for davening to remove the drought. Ve'Elokim Shama L'Kolo V'Imtir. God listened to his voice and it rained. Choni Hitchabei. He saw this big civil war happening and he hid. But they got him. Just like you davened, we turn to page 2. So now, go and basically, the people with Melech Hartat and with Hyrcanus, they said, go and daven for us that we will beat Aristobulus and the little Kohanim that are still left in the Beit HaMikdash. And when Choni refused, they forced him. And what did he do? Az amar b'tacham v'amar Elokeinu melech haolam me'achar she'ila omdim iti heim imcha v'anitzorim kohanecha. I don't know what to do. B'bakasha mimcha shelo tishmat elu neged elu v'lo tekayim ma shevakshim elu neged elu. Don't listen to anybody. Ukshamar, when he davened this, he kifo et harishayim shev Yudim, and they killed him b'skila. So Choni HaMe'agel And already, I guess one of the first diukim is not only that Choni Me'agel actually is not that he was killed in this kufa of the Chashmonaim, but these people obviously believed in the koach of tefillah, and they said, "Come and daven that what?" And they like me'avet. They very much distort the koach of tefillah. Go and daven that you're going to go kill, and they go and kill him. So this tragedy is the backdrop behind Choni Me'agel to try to understand Choni Me'agel. So it's a pretty famous story, but we're going to try, I think many of us, when we learn the story of Choni Me'agel, we focus on the angle of him sleeping for 70 years and the whole concept of the carob tree, right? And we talk about that he's not, the concept of tree, and we learned the Gemara at the time of Tu B'Shvat. We talk about that we're all trees and we're all Eitz Chaims, and that, okay, look at me like I'm weird. But yeah, where the concept of Ki Adam Eitz HaSadeh, and you don't only live for yourself, and you have to think about your grandchildren, etc. I want to focus on a different angle behind Choni Me'agel. The Mishnah and the Gemara say as follows, that and within this, hopefully with, as I said, a different message, both with Chanukah, within the parshiot that we're within, and hopefully a nice challenge for each and every one of us to walk out of here tonight. The Mishnah in Perek Gimel Mishnah Chet says, "Al kol tzara shelo tavo al tzibor," which is a euphemism that every tzara that comes upon the tzibor, matrin alehem, you blow a truah chutz meirov kishamim, except for a lot of rain. Maaseh, and the Mefarshim explain what that means. If there's too much rain, it's going to be mekakel the tfuah. Maaseh she'amru lo l'choni me'agel hitpalel sheyardu geshamim. Amar lahem, he was so confident in his tefillah. He says, "Suv yichnisu tanurei psachim b'shvil shelo yimoku," that they shouldn't get ruined. Hispalo v'lo yardu geshamim. Ma'asa og uga v'amar b'tocha, circle. V'amar lefanav ribono shel olam banecha samu pneihem alai she'ani keben bayit lefanecha. Nishbani b'shimcha gadol she'ni zaz b'kam ad she'derachim al banecha yitchilu geshamim natfim. It started coming down. He says, that's not what I asked for. I want gishmei borot shichir ma'oros. Hitchilu rei b'zaf, like a tremendous amount of rain. Amalo kach sha'alti, I want gishmei ratzon bracha nedava. So therefore, yardu kitiklan ad sheyatzi Yisrael Yerushalayim laharabayit b'mei gshamum. And then they said, Bo v'amalo kishem sheitpalat aleim sheyardu. Whoa, too much. Kach itpalu she'achu lehem amlen suru'u im nimchat even atoim. Right? Go and check it out. The famous Evan Atom. The Evan Atom is when you would find, you would lose something. You would go to this famous Evan by Harabayit, Toim. People lost things. They would go and announce it there. So Shalach lo Shimon ben Chetach. If it was not for you being Choni Me'agel, I would basically gozer upon you excommunication nidui. Avama, since you're basically wrapped around Hashem, you have Hashem wrapped around your finger, kibiyachol. Shatan mitchate lifnei makom v'osei lo acha ritzoncha keben shu mitchate laviv v'osei lo ritzono v'alach k'tuv omer yismach avicha v'imecha v'tagel yoletecha. So this story we've heard about. Now I want to look at the Gemara a little more carefully. If you look at the Gemara, Omer Rabbi Yochanan. Here we're going to start being a little more medayik. Kol yamav shel daf chav gimel man aleph. Kol yamav shel otot tzadik hayem mitzta'er al mikra zeh. All of his days he was mitzdayer for this pasuk. Which pasuk? Shir ma'alot b'shuv Hashem eshivat Tzion hayinu kechomim. So this is an interesting, first of all, piece there. That, when people tell you the story in Tu B'Shvat, they don't quote this line in the Gemara, if I'm not mistaken. What's the significance that all of his days of his life he was mitzdayer for Shivat Tzion hayinu kechomim? We see that language in a different Gemara. Does anybody know a different Gemara where somebody says, I was mitzdayer my whole life for this pasuk? Sound familiar? Akiva. What did he say? Which one? He was mitzdayer of how he was going to fulfill right? Which represents that what? The essence of Rabbi Akiva's life, as we know, is V'ahavta l'recha kamocha, is the concept of Avat Hashem, which is one and the same. And it basically represents the essence. A person's essence, all their dreams. And this seems to be Choni Me'agel's essence also. And I think it's not by chance that Tosas Sarid here tells me, as much as the Bavli seems to say this is all the same Choni Me'agel, the Yerushalmi, the Tosas Sarid points out that this the Choni Me'agel that's mitzdayer al mikra actually is his grandson, which we'll see. I think there's a certain significance, even if we don't develop it. I think it's something to think about. But within the Bavli, this is what he is mitzdayer for. Shira ma'alot b'shuv Hashem et shivat Tzion hayikochamim. Omar, Mi ika dinim shivim shana b'chama. Is there such a thing as sleeping for 70 years in a dream? Yom echad ha'azah ba'orcha chazalu gavra davenata charuva. Guy was planting a carob tree. Amalei hi akama shanim tayin. How long does it take? Amalei until 70 years. Amalei pshitalach. For sure you're gonna live for 70 years. Amalei hi gavra alma b'charuva ashtache. He's talking about himself. I came in the world, had a carob tree. My mothers did it. So too shatli nami librai. I'm gonna do it for my children. Yativ ka karich rifta. Otile shinte. So he's doing some sort of sandwich, and he fell asleep. Nim ahadrule mishnute ichse manya v'nim shivim shana. 70 years. Kikam chazi elu gavra. Dav kamalake minay. Amalei, are you the one who planted this? Atu de shatle. Amalei bar bereana. I'm the grandson. Amalei shmamina. Denai mishivim shana. I'm not going to go into the whole details of all the miracles, etc. Chazal lechamrei disyadle ramchi ramchi. Ozle beisi amalu brei. The chonim aga. Mi kain. Amalei, I'm not the brei. I'm the barbarei. You say I'm the grandson. Amalu, you know who I am? Unbelievable reunion. Feels like the parshiot of who I am. Ana choni ameagel. But they didn't believe him. Lohem knew. Didn't believe him, which is actually which is interesting, which we'll get back to in a second. Why? Ozal Beit Midrash, Shaminu l'Rabbanon de Kamri Nihiron Shmaitin Kivishnei Chonim Agel. They were saying the pshat. They were going at it with Gemara, Rashi, and Tosfos, and they had kashas, and they said it's as clear as when Chonim Agel was here. He was a tremendous Baal Masbir. He knew how to explain things. Things were so clear. The Chiyava Ayel Beit Midrash. So we went into the Beis Medrash. Kol kusha that they would ask the Havlu Rabbanon, any kusha that was a bomb question, Chonim Agel would have answered. I'm a Mefariklu. So Amar Lahu Ananiyu. He says, I am Chonim Agel, the one you've been talking about. That's me. And they didn't believe him. But then the Gemara doesn't conclude with that. The Gemara says, V'lo Abdilei Yikara Kidim Ebayle. And they didn't show him the proper kavod as they should have. Then Chalash Daite. Which is a little weird in an aspect of if your own grandson didn't believe who you are. It doesn't say Chalash Daite. Now all of a sudden, there's something deep going on over here, that within the Beit Midrash, that they didn't show him the respect. Then Chalash Daite. What's the message of the Gemara here? What is he Chalash Daite? Is he Chalash Daite because they didn't stand up for him when he went into the Beit Midrash? That's what is this very, very superficial. What's the message of the Gemara of Chonim Agel to the point that the Gemara concludes, Bo yirachmei umit. He wanted to die. He asked Hashem, let me die. Amar Rava Hainu Damri Inchi O Chavruta O Mituta. I think the message of the Gemara is the message of Chanukah, specifically with Chonim Agel.